These are men of repute who came to believe that Jesus of Nazareth was the
Your
promised
Honor,
Messiah.
I must object to this brainwashing.
I'm inclined to ask you to present fact and not conjecture with regard to the person whose body went missing.
No, not missing, Your Honor, but stolen in the early hours of the morning of the Feast of the Unleavened Bread.
This court, Mr. Prosecutor, has to begin with the premise that the body went missing until the prosecution can prove, beyond reasonable doubt, that the body was stolen. Counsel, did you find the body in their possession?
No, Your Honor, we are in the process of doing so. The charge had to be made hurriedly before your court because these deceivers are making the most of their theft. And they claim that even though the Romans and the Jews crucified him, that Jesus of Nazareth rose from the dead, completely unaided by pure divine power.
What do you mean? Is it not Roman practice that they verify the death of the crucified person by piercing his heart and breaking his knee?
Your Honor, the Romans did make sure that Jesus of Nazareth was dead. Jesus of Nazareth claimed that he would be crucified and would rise back to life as is prophesied by our forefather David.
I am not familiar with this Jewish mythology. However, the case needs circumstances are there that I need to hear submissions. Counsel, do Jews believe that their Messiah would die a Roman manner of death and then come back to life?
Your Honor, the Jewish scriptures say that of the true Messiah when he comes, bless his name, that all this would happen and we would overthrow the Roman yoke.
Counsel, that is treason. Remember, you are before Roman justice. Rome is fair to all.
Pardon me, Your Honor, my blood boils at this attempt to make a case for this uneducated carpenter from Galilee to be venerated as the Messiah of the Jews.
Counsel, why would you, an educated woman, and judging by your name, a Jew conferred an honorary citizenship of Rome, defend the cause of an illiterate rabbi, doubly condemned by a Jewish and Roman court?
Your Honor, my trusted servant was dying, and this Rabbi Jesus healed him. Our forefather David, one of the greatest kings of Judah, was also a prophet of God. His writings in Psalms chapter 16 and verse 11 claimed that the Holy One who would come would not see corruption after death. His writings in Psalms chapter 2 claimed that the Holy One who would come in his lineage would die by being pierced as is done in the crucifixion. King David lived in 1000 BC. There is no way he could have known about the crucifixion, but being a prophet was shown of God.
Counsel, are you trying to turn a Roman court into a Sanhedrin? This is no time to preach.
Your Honor, I am only laying bare the facts behind the charge and the facts behind my case. Since Rabbi Jesus predicted that he would come back to life, Caiaphas took every precaution to prevent this. In addition to the Roman guard, the high priest had his own men guarding the tomb of Jesus.
Well, depositions will not do. The Roman guards will have to be here in person.
Your Honor, it is impossible. They have been transferred out
When?
of Jerusalem this morning, Your Honor.
I suspect this is hiding evidence from the court. You claim the soldiers were drugged. How can drugged soldiers know in early morning darkness who stole the body?
Your Honor, the circumstantial evidence dictates that they must have done it. Who else stands to benefit from such a heinous crime?
Counsel, you have no case here. You need to find something of the corpse in the possession of the accused.
Your Honor,
How many soldiers are searching for the body?
we believe some are, Your Honor.
Counsel, you are vacillating. Unless you are able to produce a material witness to this court, I see no other objection.
Your Honor, we have been able to produce one of the guards who were at the tomb in the night in question.
For the record, please state your name.
Servitors, sir.
Right hand up. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So help you God.
Yes, sir.
Guard, please state your battalion.
7th Battalion of the Eagle Legion, sir.
Thank you, Servitors. And how long have you served in Jerusalem?
7 months, sir.
On the night in question, What time did you report for duty guarding the tomb of Jesus of Nazareth?
Night watch, sir.
Yes, servitors, it's night. But what time did you?
Midnight watch, sir.
Yes, midnight was. Who else was with you, servitors?
Janitors, malicious, and juniors, sir. Juniors.
Juniors. Now, servitors, where did you have your evening meal on that day?
In the mess, sir, with others.
Was it possible that your food had been tampered with, drugged perhaps?
Highly unlikely, sir. We all eat together, sir.
What is possible, is it not?
It is possible.
It is
sir.
possible. What evidence would you give to this court to substantiate the claim that you made in the deposition concerning the stealing of the body of Jesus?
As soon as we realized that the body was missing, sir, we immediately searched and surrounded the area and noticed 2 sets of footprints coming in and out of the tomb, sir.
Thank you, servitors. No further questions, Your Honor.
Counsel for the defense.
You claim that you saw 2 sets of footprints.
Yes.
So would it be correct if I say that 2 men came to steal the
Yes.
body of Jesus?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And in your opinion, is it possible that 2 men can roll away the stone guarding the tomb, one that weighs at least a ton?
Answer the question, soldier.
That would be difficult, sir.
Is it true that the bandages that were wrapped around the body from head to foot were in the tomb, unwound?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And would you think it is reasonable to assume that body snatchers will take the time to remove the bandages from a body that has been encased from head to foot and bound with about 100 pounds of myrrh and
Your
aloes?
Honor, objection. She's leading the witness on.
Withdrawn. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, servitors. The counsel for the defense can now call his witness.
With all due respect to your court, Your Honor, the defense does not see the necessity to introduce the witness. The prosecution has amply substantiated the point that we were trying to elaborate.
If that be the case, I will call upon the prosecution to deliver his final summary speech to the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you stand here today not just to judge the accused. You stand here to judge between what our nation has believed in for millennia and the lies of a few misled souls. You stand here to judge between the traditions of our forefathers and the fables of a man condemned to die for crimes against our nation. For these, the accused have just begun by stealing the body of Jesus of Nazareth. They intend on stealing the traditions of our forefathers and perverting it to their own rebellious cause. But their cause, like their Savior, is doomed. For in a few years, no one will remember this Jesus of Nazareth. He will go the way of all those who seek high office in this land and be forgotten in the pages of history. But we, ladies and gentlemen, we who are called by the great name of our fathers, we will endure, and we will not forget this day or this judgment. Jurors, Hebrews, ask yourself this: is this the Messiah? Is this the coming king? King, slaughtered like an animal and left to hang on a tree until he bled out like a sacrificial lamb. Can you, the members of the jury, really believe this weakling to be the son of the Most High God? This broken reed, this smoking flax? I've seen petty criminals, petty thieves die better deaths than this man. Can you, dear members of the jury, take your children to our great synagogues while believing that the God we worship would send someone so weak to be our king? I think not, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yet this is exactly what these, the accused, propose in saying that they have not stolen his body. This is what they imply when they say that they have seen him risen from the dead to crown and exalt this king in a crown of thorns. Will you allow this humiliation upon our nation? Will you allow them to exalt this king? to worship him as God? And now, ladies and gentlemen, choose. Will you throw in your lot with these peasants? For in a few years, this cult of Christ will no longer be there. It will die like a waning candle. But we will endure. Our great culture will endure. The Roman Empire will endure. As constant as the rising of the sun, and as bright as its noonday brilliance. And in 2,000 years, men will still bow to the might of Rome. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the choice is before you, and your choice will choose you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Counsel for the defense.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are assembled here today to decide between fact and fiction. I'm inclined to believe the task before you is an easy one, because the learned men of the prosecution have provided no facts. Throughout the hearing, they have thrown allegations at Christ Jesus without a shred of plausible evidence, and have thrived on the public perception engineered by the high and mighty. But ladies and gentlemen, you are called upon to judge justly. That when future generations remember this day, they will remember it as a shining example of a nation's sincerity in facing its own sin. For Jesus of Nazareth was not crucified for crimes against our nation. He was crucified because those in the seats of power feared the poor who followed him. He was the King of the poor, the friend of the weak and the redeemer of the lost. And it is this man that the prosecution has labeled a criminal. Is it a crime, ladies and gentlemen, to heal the sick, to comfort the needy, to preach the good news to the poor? For it is well known what miracles Jesus of Nazareth did in his lifetime. Would it not be a simple thing, ladies and gentlemen, for him who raised the dead to rise himself? You have heard from the lips of the prosecution's own witness the impossibility of the argument that they brought forth. How could a people so oppressed, so stigmatized, organize themselves against the Roman government, against the machinations of the Sanhedrin, and steal the body of Jesus from under their very noses? How could two men roll away the stone guarding the tomb without causing a commotion? A stone, nay, a boulder sealed by the high priest himself. How could they take the time to unwrap a body so well wrapped, so heavily embalmed with spices? How could they carry the body through the streets of Jerusalem, which was bursting with visitors? How could they dispose of it by burning without arousing the slightest suspicion? How could they dissolve it without getting more oil of vitriol than is readily available in Jerusalem? Respected members of the jury, how could they, who cherished and loved this man, treat his body with the disdain and irreverence these learned men of the prosecution have suggested? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there is more doubt than reasonably required in this case to quash the charges against my clients. Ladies and gentlemen, many are the decisions you will make in your lifetime. But the decision you make today in this assembly will not remain within the confines of this courtroom, this country, or this continent. It will go beyond this era. Your decision today will mark the beginning of Christendom for all time. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the choice is now yours.